I just swapped my stock power steering box for a new box from Tom's Offroad. And now I'm looking at a new box for my 1974 Bronco as I'm restoring it. Welcome back to the garage, the place where we are making your Bronco your dream Bronco. Hey, if this is your first time here, I would love to have you subscribe, follow along with me as I am fully restoring this 1974 Ford Bronco. I bought this Bronco for $2,000 and my plan is to fully restore it, keeping track of every hour and every dollar spent to, in the end, sell it for a profit. This is my power steering box out of my 75 that I just replaced, and what I thought was, oh, it'd be cool to get that rebuilt and kind of have a stock steering box in place. And so I started just doing research, like what does it cost to get steering box rebuilt? What does a new one cost? And I was just looking at all that kind of stuff, and just through my research I thought, hey, it might be helpful for someone else who is in the same boat, doing a restoration or just looking at replacing their box, just trying to figure out what would be the best option. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the placement of the steering box. Now there are some options, it's not as popular anymore, but there were some options that would mount the steering box inside of the frame rails. So you can see this is the stock power steering box. It's mounted on the outside of the frame rails. And I would really recommend, if you are looking at upgrading your box, not to go with a box that is mounted to the inside of the frame rails. Stick with one that's mounted to the outside of the frame rails. Now the other thing that you want to think about with your steering box is 4-turn versus 6-turn, and really it's like 3 3/4 turn versus 5 3/4 turn, but they call it 4-turn and 6-turn. Basically what that means is how many times you have to turn your steering wheel to get it from all the way right to all the way left, or all the way left to all the way right. So with a 6-turn box, it takes 6 turns to turn your steering wheel all the way one way or the other. Now, when I was looking at this, the box from Tom's is a 4-turn box, and I was like, man, I don't want it to feel like, too sporty. Like, I don't want it to feel like super touchy when I'm turning it, like driving a sports car. Like, I kind of like the 6-turn. But now, after having the 4-turn on and driving it a bunch, I love the 4-turn. It is so much easier to turn the Bronco. Like, it just requires less work, and it's really nice. So definitely that's something you want to consider. The stock steering box in a Bronco is a 6-turn box, but modern cars today are more like a 4-turn box. So that is a couple things to keep in mind, a couple things that I'll talk about as I talk about the different box options. But let's take a look at the differences in the steering boxes that you can find today. First is my stock 1974 box without power steering. Now this isn't really a desirable box because it doesn't have power steering, so it's not really worth the rebuilding cost. But here you can see the difference between the stock power steering box versus a box without power steering. So if you're wondering if your box has power steering, what you're looking for is this large tube here at the top of the box. Now let's talk about my stock power steering box. The stock power steering box on the Bronco is actually pretty rare and worth a good amount of money. So keeping the stock box is a good option. I got a quote from Redhead Steering that they would rebuild my box for $600. That would be a 3 3/4 turn option if I rebuilt it with Redhead Steering. The nice part about that is I can keep my stock box with everything new inside. Now the power steering box from Tom's Offroad will fit the original bolt holes. It fits the stock pitman arm, hose fittings, and steering shaft. It's a 3 3/4 turn box. It has upgraded internals. Now, like I said, these bolt holes are the same on both boxes. Next, I want to look at the Delphi box. Now, I'm just getting this information from the internet, so hopefully this is accurate information, but you can't believe everything you hear on the internet. So the Delphi box is actually going to be the cheapest new option at $520. The Delphi box is also a 3 3/4 turn box. It fits the original bolt holes and it fits the stock pitman arm, but it doesn't fit the stock hoses or the stock steering shaft. Adapters are required for those pieces. And the last option that I found was the 4x4x2 option. Now this requires rebuilding a box from a 1980s Ford F-150. As far as I can tell, some of the Bronco vendors carry them and they end up being about $800, but everywhere I looked, it was out of stock. Now this seems to be the strongest option according to the internet, and it's the best option for hard off-roading. So that's it. Those are a majority of the boxes that are on the market that you would potentially get for your Bronco. But it was helpful for me because I was like, what is the best steering box to get for the Bronco? And honestly, the one that I installed on my 75 Bronco, the Tom's Offroad steering box, is incredible. And you can get it as a kit with the Saginaw power steering pump. And I think I'm just gonna do that again and get the steering shafts and all that together instead of rebuilding the power steering box on my 75 or going with something else. But that was, you know, just in my research, those were all the boxes that I saw that made sense to me. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out all the videos on but that's it. Hopefully that was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to check out all the videos as I am restoring my 74 Bronco. I'll see you guys next time.